Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. We got a fun show for you this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about what we actually took away from the Broncos-Saints game. We're going to talk about the running game, what we can project into the Chiefs matchup as well as the rest of the season. Also, Matt Boyer is going to join us a little later on. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs matchup. But, Ben, let's start with what do we take away from this Broncos-Saints game? I mean, I think we come out of that game. I rewatched it. I know you rewatched it. There's not really – it feels like a lot to learn from the offensive side of the ball, maybe a couple of things from the defensive side of the ball. What stood out to you?
Well, I think on the defensive side of the ball, there are some things to take away. I mean, you saw an aggressive defensive line getting after it despite limited pass rush attempts. You saying Bassey managed to get his first interception in that game. That's got to be a confidence builder for the young fella. I think my biggest takeaway is, hey, DeMarcus Walker's kind of showing up here over the mid part of the season when given the opportunities. Might be worth looking into seeing what you can do about a contract extension there for a guy that really struggled to find a home early on in his Broncos career. So on the offensive side of the ball, man, there's just not much to take away. Burn the tape. In fact, don't even burn the tape. Just throw that thing in the trash and move on. There's nothing to take out of that. Although, for me, I would absolutely troll the Kansas City Chiefs by coming out and starting Phil Lindsay in the shotgun and doing a direct snap on that game just to see what they do.
That would be kind of an interesting little hat tip to that, no question about it. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about some standout performances. You mentioned Bassey, you like DeMarcus Walker. I thought there were definitely some nice moments early on in the pass rush. And I guess what we do is we sort of tip this forward to not only the next matchup, but for the remainder of the year. In general, what do you think about how the defensive line has played up to this point? Because you have giving up 200-yard rushes. You had a few of those in the last 4 or 5 games. That's something that you want to curb. I'm not going to hold this one against them specifically because, I mean, hey, eventually you're going to wear down when time of possession flips like that, and the offense really isn't giving you a lot of help. But on the other hand, I mean, at the same time, they do need to be held a certain amount accountable. You really miss Mike Purcell. I understand that's part of the reason why you're giving up so many rushing yards right now. But you're going to have to find a way. Hopefully Shelby Harris is back, but you have to find a way. What have you thought about the defensive line performance up to this point?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. With Purcell out, the line had been pushed around a little bit in the run game, and that's been a problem. But, I think they've been admirable despite being shorthanded. I mean, you're talking about an entire second-string line coming out there and trying to do their best. I think they've done what they could. They're going to have to get stouter at the point of attack on the in the run game, but. Overall, this past game wearing down like that, like you said, it's just they held up pretty well. Initially, you had 2, 3, 3 and outs to start right there and shut them down, but eventually you just get tired. Being out there and you're so shorthanded already, it's just tough to keep those rotations up. So I think the takeaway there is they did the best they could with what they had, but. In the end, you're just going to get too tired to be able to continue to hold up every play like that. And the Saints are too good with Kamara, Latavius Murray, and Taysom Hill coming downhill at you like that.
Bryce Callahan looks like he might be missing this game against the Chiefs coming up. How big a loss is that? And what did you think about A.J. Bouye's performance as he continues to sort of come back from injury? I felt like he had one of his better games.
Well, not a lot of passing attempts in that game. I thought he played good defense in the few snaps that that he got out there doing that. The Callahan loss is huge. I mean, he's been the best corner for the Broncos this year. It lived up to the contract that they signed him to when they signed him. The question is, could he stay healthy? And that's still the question, I assume. But overall, I think I thought Bouye played pretty well. With Callahan, it'd be interesting to see if we even get him back this year. He's one of those guys that plays really well when he's on the field. The question is, can he stay on the field?
Well, right. And I guess that will be a question for the offseason on what you decide to ultimately do at that position. But, Bryce Callahan has not played a full season since he's been in the league. This is something you already knew. But I'd still say the gamble has paid off to a certain extent, wouldn't you? I mean, when he's been out there, he's been great for this team.
Well, yeah, the reps they get out of him are fantastic. I mean, he's a great corner. He's got great instincts, plays really well, plays larger than his size, too. I think the first game of the season, seeing him square up on Derrick Henry might have been one of the most eye-popping moments of my life. I would have run the other direction and hoped that the team was wearing the brown pants that day. But it was one of those things where he's fearless. He's a small guy, doesn't have the size, but he plays fearless, and I think that's big in the modern NFL.
And the Broncos, I'd say, in general, have more guys like that than not. And that's a little bit of, I think, a testament to their coach. It's a little bit of testament to the players that they've really put on the defensive side. You know, for all our conversation about carrying the torch from the Super Bowl team, there are very few remnants of that Super Bowl team. But the defense and their perspective on things, the defense and the way they attack, that is something that seems like it's been able to carry forward, even when Von Miller's not out there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of pervasive. This team has been a defensive identity unit for a long time, and you know, it continues to be so. The score of that Saints game wasn't really reflective of the defensive effort put forward. And you know, I'm hoping that this game against the Chiefs, everybody's expected a Kansas City blowout. You know, and I'm hoping this is a game that maybe they can make a statement. You don't have to win it, but you got to be competitive in it. That's a start, and they haven't been for the last couple of games. And so I really think that you got to be competitive in this game. The defense has to come out, make a statement, maybe try to shut Pat Mahomes down early. You can't shut him out all game. I mean, we saw that even in the game where he switched hands and threw. I mean, he's Pat Mahomes. It's a cheat code. But in the end, you got to come out there and kind of limit him as much as you can and hope to give your offense enough chances that they can stick around.
Yeah, I did feel like very quickly here on the offensive side of the ball, as we're doing kind of some of the takeaways of the Broncos Saints, it felt like on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line did basically everything they could to give their young quarterback an opportunity. If they ran the Wildcat, I mean, again, you're sort of tipping your hand every single time you come out on the field what you're going to be looking at. So I just wanted to give a little bit of shout out to the offensive line, understanding that was a very difficult situation to be in. And, you know, I mean, again, you're basically telling the opposing defense, go ahead and crowd the box because there's really not much else we're going to be able to do.